Hello and welcome to another video. If you're new, my name's Emma, I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield and these are my daily-ish vlogs. Now, today has been a very hot day and even though I did go out to the Peak District with my mum, it was so hot, my brain stopped working and I forgot to film anything. But to be honest, I didn't sketch anything either. But I didn't want this to be the end of the story because if you've watched me before, you'll know that I want to show the real experiences that I'm having. I don't want to polish anything up and make something, I don't know, I don't want to make this channel into a kind of highlights version of what it's like to be an illustrator in Sheffield, or what I'm finding life being like as an illustrator. So I thought I'll show you what I sometimes do when I don't get any sketching done through the day. I basically don't let myself despair, because there's always ways that you can do sketching. Now, if you followed me before, if you've watched me before, you will know that I love sketching outdoors and I love sketching from life. But if I don't get out into cafes and see, things that I want to draw in real life, I draw from telly. It's fine, it's completely fine. The good thing about drawing from life and about drawing in person is that your brain gets practice turning a 3D image, 3D, into a 2D surface sketchbook. So your brain kind of you get more use from your brain, I suppose. So it's a better workout for your skills. So transferring the 3D things that you see around you into a flat object on your sketchbook. That's one of the reasons why it's really good. Another reason is it just tends to be very varied and it forces you to draw quickly, because if you're drawing people or if you're drawing, I don't know, vehicles or whatever, they move by quickly. Or if you're drawing buildings, for example, and it's hot and you don't want to sit in the sun all day, you're trying to draw as quick as you can. The idea, for me anyway, of drawing from life is to encourage me to draw quickly, which helps me to retain a bit of life in my sketches. But as a close second to drawing from life is drawing from pictures. I mean, I've done it before. If you've watched me previously, you'll have seen me. I often do internet image searches. So if there's like something that I want to do, when I was doing the magpies the other day, I got internet image search of a magpie. And my trick is there to, instead of getting overwhelmed by the detail of a big picture of a magpie, I keep the images as thumbnails, so I get the effect of what a magpie's doing, or whatever it is I'm drawing is doing, but I don't get bogged down by all the little tiny details. So that's one nice little tip. I think I got that from the Good Ship illustration people, but yeah, it's a nice little tip if you want to do that. And another thing I do is drawing from telly. So it kills two birds with one stone. I get to relax and watch a film or watch a TV programme. I'm currently re-watching The Last Kingdom because it's amazing. So that's what I'm going to do today. And it's a really good option if you can't get out of the house, B, you forgot your sketchbook when you did go out the house, or C, you are in company or doing something where you are unable to sketch, whether you've got your sketchbook with you or not, like I did. I've carried this thing around with me all day. Sometimes it's like that, and that's completely fine. So I'm going to, I've got a cup of tea. I'm going to get into my pyjamas. I'm going to put the telly on, set you up overhead. I'm going to do some drawing. I'm not expecting it to be beautiful finished drawings. I'm treating them in the same way as I treat my observational sketches. So when I do that, I do time sketches. If you don't know, time sketches for me have been a real key to unlocking my sketchbook potential, without it sounding too over the top. But they really have unlocked something in my brain. Again, I got it from the Good Ship illustration. I'm not sponsored by the Good Ship illustration, by the way. I've just found them really useful, really helpful. The time sketches have helped me find my own style. And I think it's because when you time a drawing, so if you're doing 30 seconds or a minute or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, you're focusing on the time, you're not focusing on the end result. And it kind of puts a barrier in between you and feeling precious about your end result, because if it turns out messy, if it turns out how you didn't expect, if it turns out looking like you've drawn it with your non-dominant hand, or it looks like you've drawn it blindfolded, it's because you were drawing it in 30 seconds. The time becomes the objective rather than the end result. And because you're not as emotionally invested in how your drawings turning out, it gives you the freedom to make mistakes and make a mess. And when you're doing that, you get used to seeing your own handwriting version of your style, handwriting version of your drawings, which is the start of your style. So let me show you some that I did the other day. That's a good one to show you. One that you haven't seen. I'll show you this kid. It's a kid I drew from life. When I've got it on this camera, it doesn't focus when I do this. So yeah, it's a kid I drew from life, little toes, so cute. Very quick, very scribbly, and this is time sketching, and I found through time sketching my handwriting version of my style. Before I started doing time sketching, I wasn't used to seeing scribble, I wasn't used to seeing rough work. I thought sketchbooks were meant for finished pieces. I didn't understand how a sketchbook worked. But now I draw quickly. I don't mind about drawing messily. And I think I have managed to keep a bit of life, or definitely more life than I used to, in my sketchbooks. And that's 100% my handwriting version of my drawing. And that's got to be the first steps to your style. So yeah, that's why I like time sketching. I really like detaching myself from feeling hurt, I suppose is the word, where when the end result doesn't turn out like a finished piece, like something you'd want to put on Instagram, for example, or whatever. Time sketching has made me realise that sketchbooks are a place to practice, and it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to make a mess. No one needs to see these. The only reason I share them is for transparency. I mean, I share them because I don't care about the end result. You know, I'm not going, ooh, look how beautiful this is. I love my sketchbooks and I love how it looks, but that's not why I'm showing people. I'm not showing people to boast. I show people because I don't care if people see it. Where before, when I was drawing, before I started the time sketching and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't show people what I was working on until I was sure it looked so much like I wanted it to, and I'd show them the end result. I was far too invested. I was emotionally invested in the outcome, where now I'm not. And I get so much more sketching done because of it. I get so much more work done, and I've got so much more hand-eye coordination and muscle memory built up that I'm a much better artist than I used to be. Even though I draw less realistically than I used to, I've got a better relationship with my sketchbooks. So yeah, I'm going to get my pyjamas on, put the telly on, maybe get another cuppa because this one's, hang on, it's still warm, but maybe top that up with hot water. And let's get going, shall we? Well, that's a whole episode, and that's as much as I'm going to film tonight because it's getting quite late. But I really like this exercise as a way to get some creative things done. And don't go thinking, I mean, I'm not prescribing that you feel like you have to sketch every day. Your brain needs to switch off at some point. You don't need to sketch. You don't need to draw. I'm doing it tonight because I enjoy it, and it makes my brain feel like I'm making new neural connections. I don't know. I feel alive. That sounds like I'm over egging the pudding, but it's true. I feel a lot more sparky when I've done a bit of drawing. So that's why I'm doing it. But don't feel pressured and think, oh, everyone's drawing all the time, I've got to do it all the time. I found a way of sketching, like I was saying before with the timed sketches. I found a way of doing it which takes the pressure off and which I enjoy. So it doesn't feel like a chore to me. Obviously, the more you draw and the more you sketch, the quicker the improvements you're going to see. But don't put yourself under pressure to do a bunch of stuff. You've got to look after yourself and your mental health as well. But I really enjoyed this session. What I like about drawing from TV, especially if it's something that you've watched before, it moves quickly, so you don't have, as long as you don't pause, you don't have time to noodle too much. So you kind of have to get your eye in quite quickly. And even if you don't, you've got a nice program that you're watching and the pressure's off. You're really watching the program, but drawing kind of, as you see, like a stream of consciousness. One thing that I like is you get those cinematic angles. So day to day, daily life, if you're drawing, people in the cafe, car parks, whatever it is you're drawing from life, you've got to set the scene. But in films and in TV, a lot of thought's been put into the composition of the things that you're drawing. So it's kind of also good to it's a good way of practicing composition as well, because that bit's already been thought of for you. I really enjoy drawing from programs that I've watched before. So I've watched The Last Kingdom. I think this is my third time round now. I love my comfort shows. This is one of them. And kind of, because it's familiar, you kind of know what to expect, and you know kind of what scenes are coming next, and you know when there's going to be, so the camera will often pan between one character and another character, and you'll know, well, this is going to be a scene when there's going to be a lot of back and forth. So when you're drawing one character, when the camera switches to another, you can wait until the camera goes back onto them and carry on drawing, and then it'll go, and then you can wait until it comes back and you can carry on drawing. But yeah, I like it. It's a good way of getting a bit of it's a good way of getting your pencil moving, getting your eye in, bit of practice with your muscle memory in a low stress zone and environment. And like I say, it does practice. It does kind of subconsciously get you used to scene setting and composition, which is nice. All while you're watching one of your favourite programmes. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you appreciate that I've taken the effort to film this for you. I know it might not be the most interesting thing. You're not seeing necessarily new places, and we're not going anywhere. We're not travelling places to draw. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes social media... Is YouTube classed as social media? I suppose it is, isn't it? I think social media... I always appreciate it when you see people's real life and you realise that it's not all the kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think a lot of the times on social media you can get a false idea of what people are actually doing. And I think that can sometimes be a bit demoralising, especially with Instagram and Pinterest and all that kind of stuff. Things that are like well staged and well curated. If I hadn't have done this today, you might get the impression that I always go out and I always sketch and I always draw from life and I always go to cafes and I'm always out and about. I'm not. Sometimes I'm sitting in my living room in my pajamas drawing from telly. It's okay. You don't have to be living a well-curated, well-staged life to get your drawing practice. So, yes, tomorrow I'll try and remember to film more of the actual daytime day. And we'll see where that takes us. But until then, bye.